Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into O'Neill's Grill for our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon with JMU head football coach Everett Withers. As we're here to discuss a little bit about this last Saturday's historical win for the JMU football program, the Dukes defeating the Mustangs of Southern Methodist University, SMU, in Dallas. The Dukes are now 4-0, the first time since 1978. The Dukes are off to a 4-0 start, only the second time in the history of the program. And for the Dukes, they've won their fifth game against an FBS opponent. Coach Withers now joins us here at O'Neill's Grill on University Boulevard. And, Coach, your standard opening statement about your personnel and your team awards, if you would, please, sir.
Okay, thanks, Kurt. First of all, on the injury front, really came out of the game other than one injury, fairly healthy. Quan Welch, our freshman defensive back from Pageland, South Carolina, sustained a knee injury. We're having an MRI today. Looks like it could be an ACL injury. Don't know that for sure. If it is, it will be Quan's third ACL injury. So we hope it's not, but we'll find out a little bit more probably tonight or in the morning. Other than that, nothing but the normal bumps and bruises that you have coming out of a ball game, a typical ball game. Some guys that we're hoping to maybe get back here in the near future. Justin Bethea, who passed his concussion protocol, so we're looking forward to maybe getting Justin back at some point in time this week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. Casey Kroll, another guy that we're hoping we may be able to get back this week. He's still a little bit day-to-day. And Ishmael Hyman, we day-to-day, but maybe hopefully getting him back this week also. So those are three guys that we're excited about the possibility of getting back for this Stony Brook game. We're going to need them all for our next opponent. As far as awards of the week, the offensive player of the game goes to our offensive line of Dom Richards, Matt Franks, Austin Lane, Aaron Stinney, and Matt Frank. No sacks. No negative plays in the run game. They did a tremendous job up front, and it really is truly a blessing to have guys like that, good character guys, but also hard-working guys that work really well. Defensively, two guys, Andrew Ankara. And Andrew also got the conference defensive player award, week award. He had a tremendous Brown. And Jordan Brown, who played well for us this week, really played a very good game. Played 72 plays, graded out 73%, 8 tackles, 1 assist, 2 tackles for a loss, a pass breakup. Really did a nice job of taking away something that we knew we had to have taken away for us to win, and that was the relief bubble game by Chad Morris offense at SMU. He did a nice job that it kind of eliminated that for him and allowed us to do some different things defensively to help us win the game. So those two guys did a great job. Kicking game wise, I thought guys did a great job. One young man, again a freshman. I tell people, I told the team this. I looked out there on maybe kickoff number 3. And there was 11 true freshmen out there on the field running down the field. And it was kind of neat to see. I put a challenge to a couple of our freshmen to, you're on this trip. We need to have you have roles on our team. And we put 11 true freshmen out there a couple times to run down the field. And they ran extreme. I mean, they gave relentless effort. We got some things to clean up, but they did a good job. Our special teams player of the game is Charles Tutt. He had 2 tackles on punt. Did a nice job. We outkicked our coverage one time on our rocket punt. And he went down and made an unbelievable one-on-one tackle against a very talented returner. He had another tackle on punt and also did a great job on kickoff coverage and kickoff return. So those are our awards for the week.
All right, Coach, as we talk a little bit more about the SMU game, you've discussed having the edge. It's one of those words that you use in your organization. Do you feel like the Dukes have the edge and the ability to make adjustments as the game progresses and not necessarily in the natural breaks of the game, be it a quarter or a halftime break? Because there were a lot of pawns being moved throughout the course of that ball game on Saturday night.
Well, I think you always have to be ready. We call it turning the page. You always have to be ready to turn the page. If somebody's taking something away, you've got to be ready to turn the page and go to your next move and what you want to be able to do. We knew going in the game offensively that we were going to have to run the football, and not just your traditional way of running the football. We know the quarterback runs were going to be big for us because of what they did. We also thought that we would be able to throw a little bit more of the relief game outside. They triggered their linebackers really fast on run action. So we wanted to be able to throw the ball out to our H receivers and get them in space some. We wanted to be able to run some of our jet sweep run game, and then also off of that be able to run VAD on some of our quarterback runs. So our offense had a plan, and to be honest with you, they never deviated from the plan. So they executed the plan the way we wanted it executed. So they did a nice job. Defensively, I said earlier, one of the things I know in the Chad Morris offense, I had a chance to play against them at North Carolina, had a chance to play against them at Ohio State, was they want to run inside zone, throw bubbles, and go really fast. Well, we did an unbelievable job. It's the best since I've been here of stopping what we call the bubble relief game. And we took that away from them early and forced them to go. We did a really good job inside early, stopping the inside runs, forced them to go to their quarterback run game. And their quarterback's very talented. We did not do a very good job of stopping him on on run plays and some of the scramble off-schedule plays. But I think we kind of went with our game plan throughout the ball game.
All right, Coach, thank you. Considering the heat in Dallas, they even called it unseasonably warm in Dallas with temperatures in the upper 80s and early 90s. Can you contribute to the strength and conditioning as well as your sports medicine staff? Credit somewhat for the victory on Saturday?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a guy like Aaron Burkhart and his wife Chelsea, who handles our nutrition, they do an unbelievable job. They started last night with our team. Actually, they started yesterday morning when we got back from SMU with the preparation for this week. We fed our kids when we got back at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we had immediate injury check, and then we had a strength and conditioning program yesterday afternoon that involved stretching, hydration, and some other things. But Aaron and his staff and Scott Cook and our training staff, they do an unbelievable job of getting our players back ready for the next ball game. But, yeah, I think it was a big tribute. You talk to our guys in the second half, and even at halftime, our guys were talking about summer training during that ball game. They were talking about they don't train like us. And that's what the belief our kids have, that nobody trains like us. Nobody does the unbelievable grind that we put our players through during the summer and during their off season. So we felt like in the fourth quarter we were ahead of schedule in what we wanted to get done.
The numbers are just unbelievable, Coach. Right now you have more than 1,000 yards of total offense compared to the second-ranked team in the CAA, and that's Towson. You've produced 26.85, Towson at 16.11. The number of plays that you have run, it's almost as if, from a numbers standpoint, you've played 5 games. You have basically squeezed another game in there with the number of plays and the total offense. Is that an edge for your program?
Well, when you run 85 plays a game, which is kind of our goal, is to run 85 plays a game, and you're having success running the football, those numbers we think should look similar to that. So, it's one of those things that we're happy about. Obviously we've got to stay on schedule physically and be able to handle the wear and tear as the year goes on. But we've got a saying over at our place that we started this preseason that we want to play 100 miles an hour with no seatbelt, no hands. And that's really our motto going into every ball game. Put the foot on the gas, throw your hands up, take your seatbelt off, and go play the game. and that's how we want to play.
Certainly members of the JMU Nation are very proud of what the Dukes did in Dallas on Saturday. What's the, from a coaching standpoint, can that be additional noise to your team? I mean, they're going to get a lot of pats on the back. Everybody's going to high-five them all week, keeping their focus again on the next game.
Yeah, we started yesterday afternoon in our team meeting. We said we had about 4 hours left of SMU, and we were done. After we had winter's dinner, we were done with SMU, and we were going to start moving on. We're behind right now in our minds. We're behind, and we play Stony Brook, the number one defense in the country, in the FCS at 12 noon on Saturday. So we're behind, and I think our players got the message of yesterday's meeting that this journey's long, and we're not going to let outside influences affect how we prepare to get ready to go play games.
You already mentioned Stony Brook, number one defense, allowing just 12 points per game.
Yeah.
Chuck Priori is the head coach, and their persona defensively kind of takes on their head coach. He's a tough head coach, and they may be as physical, if not more physical, than the FBS team you just played this weekend, quite frankly.
I don't think there's any doubt they'll be more physical. I think, and in fact, they will look better than the team we just played. They will have a defensive line that looks like your typical FBS defensive lines. Their secondary is aggressive, fast, big, and strong. They're big up front at the tight end, at the offensive line position. They've got talented, skilled guys. This is a really big challenge for us this week, again, because of what their head coach's culture that he has at his place. It's about toughness, and it's about being able to run the football. So we've got a tremendous challenge.
They're using a couple of quarterbacks, though, combining for 145 yards passing. Obviously, their rushing game is their bread and butter. But what are you seeing from their quarterback? Are they rotating them? How are they deploying that?
Well, I think they've got two very talented guys, a senior that's a leader, which we faced last year, I felt like was a very talented quarterback. Then a young kid that's a little bit more athletic that can run and move around. So we're going to be prepared to see both of them. They're both talented. They both have a great understanding of their offense. Their offense is basically turning around and handing it to a very talented tailback who, I know there's a question mark about him playing this week. We're going to get ready for a physical run game and a play-action game off of that run game. We've got to be ready for that.
All right, let's turn it over to other members of the media here at O'Neill's Grill as we continue with our weekly Fan and Press Lunch with JMU football coach Everett Withers.
You discussed last week about the need to stay focused no matter what the opponent was. How did that game plan pay off dividends for you, and what does a win like this do long-term for the program, JMU branding as such?
Well, I mean, staying focused is when you go on the road, you have to really tighten down and lock in and be even more focused. We had so many things going on. It was a night game. It was their homecoming. They had fans around our hotel. We had a number of functions going on in Dallas. And I'm going to say this, hats off to our fans that were down there in Dallas. Man, they were unbelievable. I mean, we had 1,000-plus fans in the stadium. And, I looked around at their fans. Their fans weren't nearly as loud as ours were. And that's hats off to the JMU Nation. But I think our kids did a great job of locking in. Our mission was be focused, but we also said don't wait. Don't wait. Don't be surprised that you're going to go win this game. And, I told them about a story when we played LSU at North Carolina in the Chick-fil-A game to start the year off in 2010. And we had 13 guys not playing in the game because of NCAA violations. And I told them at the end of that game, we dropped the touchdown to win the game. And our kids weren't ready to prepare to win the game. They thought we had 13 guys down. There's no way we're going to win the game. And, we might win this. Don't be afraid. And our kids, the entire ball game, felt like that they were going to win the ball game.
Kurt talked about the offense and just how unbelievable it's been. What's been the key difference compared to last year? Has it been vastly improving, the new coaching staff on the offensive side, or what you talked about, the grind that you put your guys through every week?
I really do. I think it's just, staying on a schedule and staying on a plan. And, we talk about the plan to win every week and how we want to, execute the plan to win. And I think each week our kids get a little bit more familiar with the plan to win and how to do things. And last year we didn't have as much offense as people thought in game plans. We really didn't because it was brand new to this football program and what we were doing. So we were able to add more offense this year and do some more things. And plus I feel like we've increased our talent level at a lot of spots. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, no disrespect to our former players, but we've recruited and gotten guys to do some things, gotten guys in positions and spots to help us be more productive.
And you touched upon Stony Brook and how physical they'll be this weekend. In terms of managing the younger players who can easily, be on the high of beating an FBS team, how do you manage those younger players, and what message are you trying to pound into them that the job is far from done yet?
Well, we talk about the journey. We talk about, they don't count the SMU win any more than they count any other win. So just get that out in front. They don't count that win anymore. That counts as one, just like all the other wins. So that's the mantra that we take is, the next game, what's in front of us, the journey. And we've got a great group of seniors. There's not a big group, but we got a great group of seniors that have done a good job of really focusing and getting our young guys to focus on the journey. So that's what we're going to lean on.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about Vad and having those 3 interceptions and the way he kind of battled back there in that game on that final drive?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's a resilient guy. He's a guy that, he wants to do well for his teammates. He doesn't want to turn the ball over. He doesn't want to do that. So he knows when he does that, he has to go out and do some things to help us win the game. So, great young man. We had a long talk yesterday about, how are we going to help ourselves and eliminate some of the mistakes. If you go back to last year, and again, I use this term, if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it. He struggled in the first 4 ball games last year. And then all of a sudden he got his rhythm and he got going. So we're hoping that's what he'll do. We talked about it last night. We had a long conversation. So he's a talented young man that wants to improve and get better each week.
You talk a little bit about Andrew Ankro as well and the game that he had.
Yeah, well, Andrew, very talented. Big, good-looking, strong guy that can run and really, is just starting to work his way into his potential. He's not even close to where he should be and can be. I think John Bowers has done a really good job with that outside linebacker position and getting those guys to work hard every day and produce and then turn that over to the games. Andrew, played extremely hard for us on Saturday. 4 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss. I mean, just an unbelievable day. Now we have to get Andrew to build on that, and be better and be more consistent and do that each week.
Coach, talking about your defense, their offensive coordinator was quoted as saying that you were showing some fronts in your first 3-4 games that he had not seen.
Yeah.
Did you do anything differently to scheme against them? Because their offense seemed to be confused quite a bit of the time during the course of the game.
Well, I think it was the first time we played a true spread offense. I mean, we would do the same thing if we were playing against our guys. So our game plan was really how do we play against us? We practiced against each other a lot last week. We did a lot of things together to play the game against each other. We wanted to stop the inside run. We wanted to force them to have to throw the ball on the perimeter, be good on the perimeter. We knew they were going to take shots to their talented receivers. We knew that was going to be 50-50. I mean, it's, when you got a 6'4", 200-and-something pound wideout that can run, it may take, an NFL guy to go cover that guy. He was that talented. So we wanted to force them to do that. We felt like if they were throwing deep shots to try to win the game, then we were going to be okay on defense. So we just wanted to keep them from being able to establish the run with their backs, because we felt like their backs are very talented. They really did a nice job of adjusting with their quarterback run. And then the quarterback made some off-schedule plays that, only a great player can do.
With the success that Sutton had, were you surprised they didn't go to him more? And is that a credit to what you were doing defensively that they really couldn't because they didn't have much time?
Well, I thought Curtis Oliver and a couple of those guys made some really nice plays down the field. After the first one we gave up, I think they went up and made some really nice plays down the field, attacked the ball, and that's what we expect. We put those guys in a bind a lot on Saturday. We said, hey, you got that cat, go cover him. And they earned their scholarship on Saturday. So when you want to play college football and you want to play corner in college, you got to be able to, take some shots, and if you get beat, you got to be ready to come back because they're going to come right at you again. And I'm proud of those young DBs for the way they handled it.
The last play where you scored the pass to John Miller, they were indicating blitz from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Did Bad change the play, or was he just making sure that they were aware where the blitz was coming from so he had time to throw the football?
He was just setting the protection. He was really, just setting the protection so we could pick it up. We had the play called. We knew exactly what we were going to get down there. Again, that whole sequence of plays in that drive is, something that we do every Sunday. It was kind of neat to watch. Nobody on the sideline panicked because we kind of knew the plays that were coming. John Miller made, obviously, the touchdown catch, but made an unbelievable third down catch versus one-on-one coverage to keep the drive moving. So he was just setting the protection so we could throw the corner ball. I can barely hear you.
Sorry about that. Wolf with NBC 29 in Charlottesville. Doing a story on Aaron Stinney, you mentioned the offensive line giving up no sacks, and I talked to him last week. He said, you provided him the opportunity to transition from the defensive line to the offensive line.
Yep.
Just sort of talk about his progression and how he's done in that transition from the defense to the offensive line.
Well, Aaron's done an unbelievable job on the transition. I mean, here's a guy that was a partial scholarship guy that was playing D-line, that when we got here was undersized, and we challenged him to gain weight and get bigger to play defensive line. And then after this season, one of the first things I did in the offseason was go to Aaron and said, we want to make you an offensive tackle. We feel like you are a big-time offensive tackle at this level and maybe even beyond. So we challenged him. He had a great spring for us, learning the offense. He's progressed every week. He's gotten bigger and stronger, more confident in his role. He's very much a big key to that offensive line.
And then I wanted to ask about Richard. You didn't list him on the injury report. I saw he did kind of get nicked up in that game. Is he all right? And then just talk about how much more productive he's been coming into his junior year.
Yeah, he's fine. I think he has a little bit of a turf toe, but he's fine. He has been more productive for us. Made some good plays for us so far this year. We really got on him yesterday in the special teams meeting. He had an opportunity to block the first punt and missed it. So he caught a lot of grief from a lot of guys yesterday in the special teams meeting. But he's a very talented young man. Another guy that the moment isn't too big for him. He goes out and plays against anybody and everybody.
Coach, SMU was not very good on third down. What were you doing to them defensively, and how does that equate to Stony Brook, who holds the ball 34 minutes a game? And I know you say you want to be better defensively on first and second down.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we were able to do was apply pressure, keep them in passing situations. On third down, we were able to do some things to attack their protections on third down. The quarterback that they have right now is a quarterback that can throw the ball deep and make off-schedule plays, but reading 1 to 2 to 3 probably isn't where he is right now. So we wanted to build a wall on him with pressure and get his feet moving, and we were able to do that early. He was more interested in escaping the rush than throwing the ball down the field, and that was our objective on third down.
Coach, you've talked about the journey and how week by week it's getting tougher, and you guys are far from done. But when you at least look back at this win, did they pass the benchmarks that you want to see? Did they make the progress that you want to see against what we perceive to be a much tougher opponent that you've seen throughout the entire season?
Well, again, we went on the road. We handled the road environment, so I checked that one off. We handled the hostile environment, being in somebody else's stadium for their homecoming. We checked that one off. We handled the adversity of losing a lead and coming back to have a game-winning drive. So, yes, we check off at least 3 of those boxes. Again, we've looked back and now we're looking forward. So we just want to continue to grow and get better as a football team.
Coach, it can be a byproduct of this past week's ball game. Vad Lee was named the CA Player of the Week, of course, and the research that we have is that he's the first Division I football player to run and pass for more than 275 yards in a single game, which is quite an accomplishment. ESPN is here today. They're doing a feature on him. In James Madison, as a university trying to gain national exposure, this is a positive byproduct of doing that. Can you speak to that in the sense that ESPN is here to cover bad today?
Well, again, our whole objective is find a way to win games as a football program and try to do it the right way and try to do it with good kids. And anytime you can do that, win games with good kids the right way, people notice. People notice that Heather Dinich was here last week. Heather's a good friend of mine. She used to be a blogger, ACC blogger. When I was at North Carolina, we got to know each other. She stopped in last week, so we had a chance to visit with Heather. It's kind of neat. Yesterday morning, Urban Meyer texted me and went like, wow. So, I mean, to have people notice what you're doing is kind of neat. And then to have Janine in today to do a special on VAD, which will air tomorrow night at 6 o'clock on ESPN. It's kind of neat. Again, it's about, helping the brand of JMU and JMU athletics, and as much as we want to be a part of that, we want to help that brand grow. And again, the focus is on winning games and doing it with kids that are good kids that try to do things right. So we're all in to try to help the brand grow.
All right, very good. The Dukes are at home this coming Saturday. Anyone else with any questions for Coach Withers? Okay, gentlemen.
Like being on the other side of an FCS win over an FBS team?
Again, I don't know if I look at FBS, FCS as much as other people look at it, I guess. The landscape of college football right now is where there's a lot of very talented teams with 63 scholarships. Not many FBS schools are scheduling North Dakota State. And I was on a team that did that back in 2009 at Minnesota for homecoming and got my butt kicked. I don't look at it so much as being on the other side. It was on our schedule. We went and played it. It was on the road. We won the game. Now let's move forward. That's just how I look at things.
Anything else, gentlemen? All right, very well. Thank you for coming this afternoon, folks. The Dukes are at home this coming Saturday, and it is family weekend. There are still some general admission tickets available for this weekend's game. General admission, mostly reserved seats, have been spoken for this weekend. Kickoff is at noon. So with that, we'll let Coach Withers get out of here because, as he said, the Dukes are a little bit behind schedule. You don't have quite as many hours to prepare for the next ball game. Noon kickoff, the Dukes and Stony Brook Saturday at Bridgeforth Stadium. Thank you for coming out again this week at O'Neill's Grill.